So in the last month or so, it hasn't been fun for a lot of very good food company investors out there. Right now, it is actually trading down around 15 to 20% in the last 30 days. So what is going on at the moment? Now that's what we're going to talk about here on the PlantStock channel. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. If you're not, then obviously welcome back. Now, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet and you want to keep getting more information regarding the very good food company, aka the very good butchers, or other plant-based companies out there like Oatly, Beyond Meat, the Tattoo Chef, to name a few, make sure to subscribe and don't forget that bell button. And if you really want to help me out at this moment, make sure to smash that like button, as it does help spread the video to a lot more people out there. Truly appreciate your help. Now, if we take a look at the stock chart, ticker symbol VRYYF, which is in the American currency, the OTC version, we can see in the last month or so, it has been trading down quite a lot. And if we take a look at yesterday, we're actually pre-market now about 1 hour and 15 minutes, but yesterday it went down about minus 2.35%. And that is when we still got some pretty good news yesterday. Well, we're going to talk about that soon. Now, so what is going on, right? Well, before I start talking about that, I just want to let you know, if you already watched the Tattoo Chef video that I released just moments before this one, well, I'm going to be talking about some similar things now first. So if you want to skip ahead, just take a look at the description at the timestamp. So as many of you might be aware of, the Fed seems quite confused about what's going on the market right now, right? They can't really decide if the opportunities are out there right now or if we're actually heading downwards. And that's why when it comes to the inflations, there's still a lot of uncertainties out there. So they're basically as confused as we are at the moment. So that could be one of the reasons why we actually do see what's going on in the market at the moment. But also there's some concerns regarding employment, right? There's been a belief that now after Rona, when people are taking their vaccines, that the employment will soon be back to full as it was pre-Rona. But it does seem now that there's some indications that could show that it might take another year before we're back at that level when it comes to the employment. And then obviously this is going to impact the overall growth in the market. So it's not going to grow as much as people thought. Well, that's what we think right now. So that could be part of the reason why investors are actually starting to sell out of different companies. Now, granted, this actually impacts larger companies, I would say, and larger sectors. But when investors out there see other people selling off like crazy, well, like we know here, the herd mentality starts going, right? Which could be also part of the reason why we see people selling out of this company. But also, overall, I think there's a possibility that we could be seeing some rotation from certain stocks to other stocks right now, which is related to people taking the vaccines, right? When people are taking the vaccines, and we know that the Rona situation is cooling down at the moment, that when you've taken those 2 doses, well, you're basically as protected as you can be right now. Everything from 90 to 95% depending on the vaccine that you've taken, which means that people are going to go out eating at restaurants a lot more, right? And taking trips to other countries, which means that stocks that has to do with airplanes, hotels, travel in general, is going to benefit. So I think there's a possibility that people are taking out some of their stocks, selling off their stocks and putting them here. And that obviously could impact the very good food company. I mean, let's face it, folks. We talked about this. The whole Rona situation benefited the very good food company because this is a company that during the last year, most of the sales came from e-commerce, right? When people couldn't go out to restaurants and eat and maybe didn't want to go to any kind of stores to buy food, but they could buy it from the very good food company, right? So that benefited them. So now when maybe some investors out there or a lot of investors are trying to factor that in, that people are going out to eat a lot more, right? Why should they then start ordering in food, right? Although we know that this is going to change really soon, that we do know that the larger amount of the revenues in the future is going to come from stores. But right now, Could be to some extent the same thing with stores. Why should people go out to and just buy food from stores when they really want to go out to restaurants, right? But also when people are going to travel. If there might be a way for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, who knows? But that means that there won't be any reason right now to buy food from stores to that certain amount. Obviously, this will switch around again and people will start buying more food in stores. But a lot of people still, as we know, a lot of investors, they do get affected by the short-term noise. They might not be factoring this in, so that could also be part of the reason. And as I talked about in the former video, it is that I think during this time when people are more nervous about the market and they're actually looking at rotating stocks, I think Beyond Meat looks more attractive, right? But if we just take a look at the last month for all these three companies, Beyond Meat, Tattoo Chef, and the Very Good Food Company. Well, the Very Good Food Company has gone down around 21%, Tattoo Chef around 15 to 16%, the black line here, and then we have Beyond Meat only around 7 to 8%, which is rare when it comes to Beyond Meat, right? Because similar to Tattoo Chef, they usually have a short float of 20 to 30%, so they really go flying up a lot. But during this volatile time now in the markets, just going down around 7 to 8% is basically them standing still, right? Trading sideways. And I think the reason is quite obvious, that it has to do with that people, investors, probably think that there might be a better opportunity in Beyond Meat. And I must say, Beyond Meat looks more attractive now, considering that people are taking the vaccines and people are going to start going out to eat. And as we know, Beyond Meat, more than 50% of our revenue comes from restaurants, right? So it's going to benefit them. I think this is what we're seeing to some extent. But I think also another issue that a lot of people, a lot of investors have out there with the Very Good Food Company right now is that they did a closing of oversubscribed 20.7 million bought deal public offering, which basically means that they diluted the shares, right? So every share right now actually is less worth to us investors. This is something that I actually don't mind normally. I think it was a little scary that it happened that close to after taking a $70 million loan, right? And they're going to use this money, obviously, for their expansion in the US and overall in Canada also, building up their facilities, right? So normally I don't have anything against it. I don't have anything against it per se right now either, but I felt it was quite close after, right? But again, I do understand that a company needs a certain amount of cash flow ready when you are expanding like crazy, right? Which the Very Good Food Company are doing right now. So, and I have to feel maybe considering that the management has so far delivered on everything they've been saying, right? Taking it step by step. Well, I guess we have to have faith in them. They know what they're doing. So that's my position. We have to have faith in them. We have to trust in them. They know what they're doing. Now, folks, before I move on, I just want to hear, what do you feel about this whole situation, about the stock keeps moving down? I want to know how you feel. Let's talk about it, guys. But one way that we actually know that the management team and the CEO, right, Mitchell Scott, that they keep what they're talking about, they keep what they're saying as they have been so far, is that we know they've had 300 stores, they've had their products at 300 stores in Canada, and they're saying that it's going to be at about 3,000 stores before the end of the year. Now, it does seem that they're keeping with it as of yet, if we just look at the news that's been coming out in the last few weeks. So 15 days ago, we found out that the Very Good Food Company significantly increased the retail distribution points in Canada, but with about 180 plus new stores, exactly 184 stores overall in Canada, which brings them now to about 573 stores in Canada, basically almost doubling their store presence. And if that wasn't enough, we just found out from yesterday, and this is pretty fresh news, right, that they actually now moved into the US in a physical way in the stores there, with over 100 US retail stores carrying their product lines. Obviously, this is amazing news, folks. This is basically what the CEO had to say. Quote, over the past year, we have strategically focused on enhancing our production capabilities and rolling out an expansive plant-based product line. As delicious and healthy eating continues to become the norm, as we know, we have seized the opportunity to enter new high-growth markets and proud that within months of partnering with some of America's most notable natural food distributors, we're placing our products on shelves across the country. Signing on with over 100 retail stores in the US is just the beginning and clearly demonstrates our ability to effectively scale production and successfully meet surge in demand. And I have to agree with that. Now, obviously, having about 600 to 700 stores is still a far cry from 3,000 stores, but we have about a half a year left, right? And they're barely begun. So I do believe that we can reach it. Guys, again, let me know. Do you believe that we'll reach about 3,000 stores by the end of the year? Let me know. But we have to understand that one of the biggest reasons here, whatever other short-term noise there is, even though I love this company and I know a lot of you do too, VRYYF needs to prove themselves when it comes to revenue, right? They're making the right moves, but when it comes to revenue, a lot of investors out there, potential investors, need to see a whole lot more. Because again, from a PS ratio, it is extremely overvalued. I mean, normally this company trades at about a PS ratio of 100. Now that's super huge if you compare it to Tattoo Chef, that's normally around 9 to 10, right? So this is not strange. It's a super small company that is expanding like crazy. And I do believe it's going to actually work in that valuation. I'm not worried about that. But that's what other investors, I imagine, are worried about. So they have to see more revenue on paper before they dare to move in. Now, as we know, in 2020, they have that revenue of about $4.6 million, right? And then normally been trading at a market value of about 400 million. So normally around 90 to 100 in PS ratio. But as I've talked about before, I do expect within 1 to 2 years from now, we could probably see a revenue flow of about 100, which would bring it down to a PS ratio of a staggering 4, which is amazing, right? It's super low for a disruptive growth company. Yet, I don't think that that will be the case when it comes to PS ratio remaining there. I do believe that the stock price will fly up from there. But still, that's something to think about. And if we're conservative when it comes to this year, what kind of revenues could we see? Well, it's hard to know. I mean, really conservative, between 15 to 20 million. But I would say everything from probably 15 to 25 million seems reasonable, right? Which is still a huge step ahead from 4.6, right? But it could be more, but we'll have to wait and see, right? And it's the same thing as I told my TTCF investors. If you really believe in this company long term, obviously this is an opportunity right now to invest in these prices. But be wary that there is a possibility that it could keep trading down. So just keep that in mind, right? And again, try to forget about the short-term noise if you are a long-term investor like I am. Because the reason why I am normally not nervous when it comes to my stocks that I truly believe in is obviously that I believe in them, that I understand them, I understand the sector, I understand their finances, but also their possibilities. But obviously is that I am long-term, which means that whatever short-term noise happens during 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years from now, it won't affect me because I'm thinking about 3 to 5 years ahead, if not 10 years ahead. So if you have that mentality that you're long-term, right? What happens now shouldn't really affect you. All right, folks, that was it for today. I truly hope you got some value from today's video. And if you did, make sure to smash that like button and help me out. And if you want to keep getting more information regarding the Very Good Food Company, or maybe the Tattoo Chef, Beyond Meat, or Oatly, to name a few, then make sure to subscribe and don't forget that bell button. Thank you, folks. I truly appreciate your help. And as always, if you might have forgotten, this was not financial advice. These were just my own opinions and my thoughts. If you want to invest safe, do your own due diligence, do the job, and in the long term, you're going to benefit. All right, guys, have a nice day and peace out.